Hello, Create Schools. Today we're going to talk about appeasement. It is the video you have been waiting the whole chapter to listen to, or maybe you sneaked peek and you're listening to this early. That's okay. So go ahead and get your paper and pen out and find out, was the policy of appeasement justified? Okay, so I've alluded and discussed appeasement. I've said appeasement. I've given you the analogy of the taking or giving the candy to the baby to make sure. So when the baby is crying and he wants the lollipop, oh, give me the lollipop, give me the lollipop, and then you give that lollipop to the baby stops crying. That is appeasing your baby, and basically Britain was appeasing Hitler. He says, I want this, and they say, okay, you can have it and you can stop. And then hopefully you'll stop. So the policy of appeasement was from 1935 to 1938, and basically gave in to all the demands that Hitler wanted. And this policy was mainly associated with Neville Chamberlain, okay, from Britain. So here we've got a couple political cartoons. You can just take a look at that. Yeah, so we've got the Nazi wolf here. If we give you Czechoslovakia, you'll just be quiet. Or here we're like, okay, appeasement is like a tightrope. We've got British prestige, British feeling good. So what's going to happen? This is Chamberlain. Can he navigate this? Or is it going to collapse and fall onto the swords of Germany? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Pause here if you need to get those notes. So in 1935, the Strasse Front was formed, and it was a pact between Britain, France, and Italy. And they say we're going to keep those Nazis under control and keep them stopping from taking over Austria. So if you guys remember when we were talking about the Spanish Civil War, one of the things I was saying, Hitler joined that because Mussolini had joined the Spanish Civil War to help Franco, because Hitler wanted to become better allies with Mussolini. And maybe you remember, maybe you don't remember, I was saying something about before, when Hitler tried Anschluss with Austria, it was blocked by Italy. So he was hoping if he became better friends, then Mussolini wouldn't stop him. So here is where Italy is part of the Allies saying, okay, we're going to stop Austria and Germany from joining. So we've got our little political cartoon called Collective Isolation, such a little play on collective security. And it says, 3 wise men of Strasse went to sea in a barrel. If the barrel had been stronger, my story would have been longer. So the Strasse Front basically imploded in 1938. So it just lasted for a couple years because Mussolini realized that Britain and France just were not giving him what he needs, and Hitler would. Go ahead and pause here, and we'll move on to the next video. Next slide. So, when did Britain and France appease Germany? I hope this is a really no-brainer for you, but I just wanted to really spell it out here to make sure that you have it. Basically, rearming Germany, that was against the Treaty of Versailles. They didn't take action over the reoccupation of the Rhineland. They were too busy with Italy, so that was also against the Treaty of Versailles. They allowed Hitler to use German bombs in the Spanish Civil War, meaning Germany wasn't supposed to be having these weapons, so they shouldn't be having bombs. They didn't take any action over Anschluss, and very, very openly they appeased Hitler, giving him the Sudetenland at the Munich conference. So here's another Dr. Seuss. Remember, one more lollipop and then you'll all go home. That's really, it's the appeaser and giving the lollipop. Okay. So hopefully those are really clear in your head when Britain and France appeased Germany. And pause here and write those down. We'll move on to the next one. So what they're going to ask you often, appeasement is a question that comes up fairly often as a 10-point question. It's asked in totally different ways, so you have to use totally different information, but it's basically the same question over and over again. So, appeasement arguments for appeasement. Well, no one wanted to see the horror of the First World War. It cost so much, both in lives and money, and they wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. A lot of people had believed that Germany had been unfairly treated by the Treaty of Versailles. So they're really going back to, they should have been treating them better, everything should have been better, and then this wouldn't have happened to begin with. And so the people, they didn't want another war, and that's called pacifism. Okay, so a pacifier is what we call the little nookie that you put in the baby's mouth, and then the little baby sucks on it. That's a pacifier, and to pacify someone means to calm them down. And so the general public of Britain didn't want to fight another war, so they were happy to just say, okay, if I give you this, then you're going to stop fighting. Just like the mom doesn't want to deal with the kid and really make them be quiet. They just want to shut them up. They're in the store, they're busy, just take the pacifier, be quiet. Or take the lollipop, whichever. So a lot of people weren't really worried about Hitler because they were really worried about communism. Okay, and so they believed Hitler would be a nice buffer zone to stop communism from spreading west. And that's again what makes people very shocked about the Nazi-Soviet pact. Germany is so anti-communist. They were expecting Germany to be a buffer, but yet then Hitler goes and joins with Stalin. So people are, it's back to that Nazi-Soviet agreement. Is that really the action that caused war? So Britain was not ready to go to war. They'd only started rearming in 1936, so they were way behind Hitler. Okay, so they did not have a strong enough force in order to fight against Germany. And the Spanish Civil War showed just how powerful Germany was with their Luftwaffe and their Blitzkrieg. So they were quite worried that another war would really, really ruin them. So those are a lot of really good reasons to try to hope that once Germany gets what it wants, they'll stop. And then if you look right here, it says, this is Britain saying this to France. Why should we take a stand about someone pushing someone else when it's so far away? So we've got lots of eggs in our British Empire. Britain, France, Northwest Europe, the Middle East, the Balkans, Czechoslovakia, Austria. Here's Germany just pushing. So what's going to happen? They're going to everyone's going to topple. Here's a little machine that's pushing them over. Let's go here and pause this. Make sure you are very, very clear about the arguments for and the arguments against appeasement. Really take time when you're writing these notes down to really think about it, because the whole chapter is really understanding why people would do this. Why would people shut their eye and let Hitler? Why would they just give him that lollipop? Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Arguments against appeasement. Okay, Hitler was given an advantage. So although Britain was weaker, Hitler was also weak, so that the more they appeased him, he could grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And once if war did break out, or once war did break out, then Germany would be too strong. Most of the people that are against appeasement believe that a war was going to happen. It was inevitable. Okay, and they're like, you need to stop. Quit doing this, quit letting him get stronger and stronger and stronger. So a lot of people also just say, look, the Treaty of Versailles was written, these are rules that you're supposed to follow, and it just isn't right. Follow the rules. Okay, so that's a good reason why. Why did they make the rules to begin with if they were just going to break them? Okay, they also say that, look, if you just rearm and we go to war, it would actually solve a lot of our economic problems. Britain and France were saying, we're not strong enough, we don't have enough power, we don't have enough money, and actually war gives people jobs, people then have money, people then can fight. It also a lot more weapons increasing, and so war really increases the economy. If you think about the United States really got rich in World War I, especially since they didn't have to have anything destroyed in America. So war really can actually make money for you if you do it right. Very scary to think about it. They also say that Chamberlain, they don't understand what's even in Chamberlain's head, that he would think that Hitler would just stop if they were appeased. I mean, Hitler is obviously, I mean, you can see him if you watch his speeches. He is adamant. He's got a lot of passion. I mean, they had people speak German there. They just listen or look, and you can really see that Hitler is just, he's going to go for it. Why Chamberlain would think that he would stop if he got versus him getting stronger is just crazy. And so finally, in hindsight, we know that it didn't prevent war. We also know that in hindsight, the Treaty of Versailles, so popping to a different topic real quick, in hindsight, the Treaty of Versailles did not prevent a second war. Okay? So here's a little political cartoon of the people against it. Just in case there's any mistake, boom, we shall fight. We shall resist. And it says, we cannot remain unmoved. And so that's your final thing about, probably about Germany invading Poland. So this was our, oh, no, wait, we do have one more about appeasement. Really take your time and read this, okay? Make sure you really understand the describe, the explain, the assess. Again, like I say, I cannot stress this more, that whether appeasement was justified or not is extremely important for you to understand and be able to answer in any different ways and lots of different information. But actually, if you think about it, it's pretty easy. Okay? I've spelled it all out for you. You just, relax and understand. Don't get stressed. If you have any questions, let me know.